Good morning. We've been on a bit of a hiatus lately just because of the heat, but we've come up to Bryce Canyon to start the season off again in earnest, and so let's go for a little hike around Bryce. It's amazing.
First of all, accommodation. There's lots of places to stay in Bryce, and we settled on Ruby's Inn, which is a very large room with a central, what can only be described as a canteen. To get into the park, there's a free shuttle that runs every 15 minutes, and that is superb. And so on to the hike itself. Welcome to Bryce Canyon National Park, one of the most unique landscapes in the American Southwest. At first glance, it looks like a giant canyon stretching out to the horizon. But here's the first surprise. Bryce Canyon isn't actually a canyon at all. Instead, it's a series of enormous natural amphitheaters or cliffs carved into the edge of a high plateau in southern Utah. The park takes its name from Ebenezer Bryce, a Mormon pioneer who settled nearby in the 1870s. Bryce helped build roads and irrigation systems in the area. He apparently wasn't overly impressed by the terrain, and he famously described this as a hell of a place to lose a cow. Another thing that surprises many visitors is the elevation. Bryce Canyon sits between 8,000 and 9,000 feet above sea level, making it one of the highest national parks in the United States. The elevation brings cooler temperatures, crisp mountain air, and plenty of snow during the winter months. In fact, the contrast of red rock and fresh snow creates some of the park's most spectacular views, if of course you're here in the winter.
So this is what makes Bryce famous, and the reason that you come here. The hoodoos, which are these formations that have been formed over millennia by ice, wind and water. And as you start to descend, it is absolutely the gift that keeps on giving.
And that process of erosion and freezing and thawing continues today, meaning Bryce Canyon is still changing before our eyes. And Bryce Canyon is home to the largest concentration of hoodoos found anywhere on Earth. The vibrant reds, oranges, pinks and whites that fill the landscape come from minerals within the rock. Iron creates the red and orange hues, while other minerals contribute to the lighter colours. Together they create a natural palette that seems to glow, especially at sunrise and sunset. Long before European settlers arrived, indigenous peoples lived throughout this region. The local Pout people had their own explanation for these remarkable formations. According to their legend, the hoodoos were once the legend people, beings who were turned to stone and left standing across the landscape. You can see why.
Hi there. Hey, how you doing? Good.
Bryce Canyon became a national monument in 1923 and was designated a national park in 1928. Today, millions of visitors come each year to experience this extraordinary landscape for themselves, although the majority stay up on the rim because to get down to where we are right now, it's a 700 to 800 feet descent, which of course means it's a 700 to 800 foot ascent to get out of it. And so when you're inside the canyon, you do have the place to yourself, despite the millions of visitors.
Oh, look at that. Altitude up here at Bryce is 7,600 feet, so the air's a little thinner, but the views are spectacular. Of course, what goes down must go up.
Did I mention breathtaking? And this is where your breath is literally taken away, because we elected to leave via the Navajo Trail, which just over half a mile ascended 700 feet. If any of you are hikers and walkers and climbers, you'll know that's a heck of an ask. And so with switchbacks and just a steep incline, we managed to get out, but not before having to stop quite a few times to catch our breath. So in summary, standing here surrounded by rock formations shaped over millions of years, it's easy to understand why Bryce Canyon feels almost otherworldly. Whether you're hiking amongst the hoodoos, watching the sunrise paint the cliffs in shades of gold and crimson, or simply taking in the view from the rim, Bryce Canyon is a reminder of the immense power of time, nature and geology. That was Bryce Canyon National Park, one of America's most remarkable natural wonders. You have been watching and cue music.